This is what I'm going to be showing you today, guys. A bit of perfection there with this small bathroom floor. It came out pretty well and spot on level. So let's get into it and I'll show you how. First off, I've got to get this toilet out. I've been working in this bathroom for about 4 days around it, so it's going to be nice to get rid of it. This floor was extremely out of level to start with, so I did a bit of prep and latexed it. You can watch that video right here, and that will give you some tips on how I did it. I'd really recommend getting the substrate level at least flat to start with, because it will make the whole process so much easier. So this one should be pretty good to go. Right, first things first is to identify what to come square off of with your tiles. Now, for me, this room isn't particularly square, but to me, the most important thing is what you visually see where you're either walking through the door or into the room. So I'm probably going to come square off the bar. I hope that it's not too far out with the door, but I'll check all that out when I get some lines down. Right, let's do some marking out. To get a line for the bath, you just need to put a level on it upright, mark at the bottom, make sure the bubble is obviously level, and then do the same on the other side. This will give you something to mark off of with the tape to give you a square line off of the bath. And you can see my other mark at the other end there. Now I can use those marks to mark back to see if I'm square with the door if I start there. Something I'll quickly do to make this a little bit easier is just multi-tool the door stops. I like to get a bit of card like this and fold it over a couple of times and then put the tile on top. This just kind of replicates the height of the tile once it's got adhesive on it. So you can just do that, place the tile down and then draw a line, and you've got something to multi-tool to get rid of that door stop. Now this allows my tile to just slide under, so I don't have to cut around the architrave, and I want my tile to finish midway between the doors so there's no transitions visible once the door is shut. Right, onto the setting out. This can really make or break your bathroom, not only visually, but also for the amount of tiles and wastage that you get. So it's important to spend a bit of time going around and making sure you get the right set out for you. A couple of things to think about. Can your floor tiles match up with the joints in your wall tiles? In my case, they can't because they're different sizes. You ideally want to get as many full tiles on the floor as possible for a better look. In my case, if I start a full tile from my bath line, I get a really small cut on the opposite wall, so that's not really going to work. So I'll centre the bathroom to get even cuts either side, which in this case is about 30 centimetres. I've got to tuck under the bath a little bit as well to make sure it's covered by the bath panel. It also means that I'll get 2 out of 1 tile, so it'll look better for looks and for tile wastage. From laying a few tiles out from my bath line, I can see that the door and the bath are pretty square, so that's great, which means I can also start a full tile from the door. The cut to the back of the room is about 5 centimetres off, so that's perfect for looks. And I'm happy that this is the best set out for this bathroom. So I'm going to need to start at the bath end so I can actually get out of the room. So I'll draw a line from the door, which will give me a starting point. And this ensures that I'll make sure that my full tile does hit the end of the door where I want it. So take a bit of time to get your lines down and that you're happy with them, because it's essential for when you want to end up in the right place, especially if you're starting at the back of the room. So you can see there I've got my centre line from the room and my line coming from the door tile. This is where I'll start and where my first tile will be going down. So take a bit of time and get your lines down, and then you're stress free when you're actually tiling. So I'm just going to cut some dry cuts first. I'm just making sure all the grain is going the same way. I'm going to have to use rapid set for this one as I need to get the toilet back in. I'd recommend when you do it to use a medium set, like a 4 or 5 hour, but unfortunately I don't have a choice. I need to get it down quickly, get it to go off so the toilet can go back on. And you can use the tape measure or mark the tile like me here for this, whichever method you prefer. You mark it on the opposite side and then flip the tile around. And that's what I'll be cutting off. I'm using my Sigma 900 cutter here. It's a score and snap. I rave about it a lot. It cuts through any tile really easy, so highly recommended. But any half decent score and snap cutter should do the job for you. It does amuse me when I see so many people using water cutters to cut tiles, but who am I to judge, eh? And there's my first tile cut. You can see where the lines are there, where I'll be placing it, and that's where I'll be starting. Now I'm just going to get the bath cuts cut. So I've got all that first row ready, so I can just spread and then lay them all. So I'm just going to use my tape here to mark the bath cuts, and I can cut them all the same as I'm coming square off of it. And I'll get 2 out of 1 tile, which is handy. So I'll quickly cut them off and place them full ones down. And now I've got my first couple of rows all cut. I'll number them up so I know what goes where for when I take them up. But first I'm going to get the soil pipe cut, as that's the most difficult cut in the bathroom. So I'll put some more tiles down so I can measure off of them to the pipe, and this will allow me to be able to mark the cut around it. And I'm just marking to the centre of the pipe both ways, and they are the 2 marks that I'll be marking on the tile. I'm just transferring them marks onto the tile there. I'll use something round to draw around my metal angle grinder blade in this case. Effectively what I've done is drawn a box, and then I'll put my circle object on to draw the shape of the pipe out onto that, just like this. And there we go, that's the easy one cut. There was only a little bit out of that one. The next one will be a bit harder, but it is all covered by a unit anyway, so I don't need to be uber neat with this one. So same thing here, I'll put a couple of the other tiles in so I can mark the other side of the soil pipe. You'll see, as I said earlier, I effectively make a box and then put my round disc in between it and then draw it out. And that is my soil pipe, ready to be angle grinded. And for this, I just angle grind around the circle, then make some slots, and then use the pinchers to pinch the inside out. I did actually lose a bit here, but it actually will work in my favour for getting it around the pipe, and it is covered, so no biggies. And there we go, she's in. So that's enough tiles all pre-cut now to get laying on this floor. Then I can just spread and get the whole thing down in one. Okay, I've got my pre-cuts done. I've numbered the tiles. I've stacked them up ready. I've got a tile out to be back edged, so I'm good to go. Having done all this prep will make life so much easier for you, so I recommend doing it this way. So I'm going to mix up my adhesive with a mixer. Like I said before, I'm using a rapid set here, but whatever adhesive you use, just read the instructions and knock it up to the quantities and ratios that the bag says. All I'd say is just at a minimum, make sure you use a flexible adhesive for most things these days. So for spreading, I'm just going to put a few lumps down and then start trailing. Just make sure you use the full notches of your trowel. You'll always be able to hear this, it really scrapes. Try and keep your lines in the same direction. This will help the adhesive collapse for full adhesion. And for these tiles, I'm using a 10mm notched trowel. Back edging is pretty essential these days for the size of the tiles. Got to make sure that the tile gets full connection to the floor, so use the flat side of the trowel and just spread adhesive over the back of the tile. Okay, fixing. So this is the first tile going down. Just put it down, give it a wiggle and a bit of a push. Make sure it makes a good connection. Make sure it's on your lines that you drew earlier. Then I'll put my leveling clips in, ready for the next tile. And then I'll just continue along that line from there, putting them in, putting the leveling clips in. I like to clean as I go, so I always have a sponge at hand. It's good to have your scraper, a pen, a rubber mallet or a suction pad at hand next to you, because you're always reaching for these things. It's good to have them close by while you work. So I'm going to continue putting the rest of this row down. I'll clean as I go with my sponge. I'll put spacers in. I'm going to get the cuts in now as well. And then once all the tiles are down, I can go around with the tops of my leveling clips and start screwing them down and get everything nice and flush, which with these Genesis leveling clips is actually quite good fun and satisfying, as you can see here as well. I do have a video on installing them as well, which you're free to check out, guys. So before fully tightening your clips up, get your level down and just make any final alterations, making sure everything hits the level and is nice and straight. And you can go around and tighten all your clips up. And there we go, then first 2 rows are bang on level, nice and flat. So happy to move on to the next row. And just to add, for me, I need to normally get things quite spot on level because most of my work revolves around high-end design work. But if flat is good enough for you, then that's absolutely fine. And things don't always have to be bang on level. Right, moving on to the toilet area here, same process. I'm just going to put these 2 in around the soil pipe and then start working backwards out of the room. You can see what I mean here by that bit coming off actually helps me out getting around this pipe. So same thing here, get it nice and clean, get it all straight, and then get your leveling clips tightened up, and then you're ready to move back to the next row. And there we go, that's the progress so far. Just a couple more to put in before I get back out the door. Okay, nearly there. Just the left door cut to go. The right one was slip under the doorstop there, so let's get on to that now. So I'll show you on the tile in a second as well, but what I'm doing here is taking out the L shape first. I'm marking from the architrave, from the wall tile, and from where the door bit there you can see goes in the knob of the architrave, and then that just allows me to draw this shape basically around it. You can see there, that's the doorstop area. Don't need them lines anymore. The angled bit is around the architrave, and then the straight line is the wall tile. So that should be pretty good. Let's see. And that was a success straight in. I was expecting to have to take a little bit more off, I normally do for the architrave, but that one went in one, which is great. And there we go, back to where we began. And that is the floor all finished. If you want any help on grouting, I've got a tutorial for that, which you're welcome to check out, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and you took some good tips on board for your own project. Like and subscribe as it is free. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.